Thank you so much. I learned so much from your session. And I hope marami po sa mga nanonood ngayon, to those who are watching, have learned so many things about the germs that are lying around in objects, and of course, the proper steps to proper hand washing. Yes, there are indeed disease-causing germs in our hands that our bare eyes cannot see. We don't see the germs that are lying around, mga germs na hindi natin nakakita, and ang mga mikrobyo sa ating mga kamay na posibleng makapagdulot ng sakit or any germs that may cause diseases. Thank you, David, for staying. Thank you, David, also for giving us a proper tour, as you mentioned, about proper hand washing. And I hope you have time to answer a few questions. My first question would be, David, what role do soap bubbles play in hand washing? For those who are watching, when we wash our hands, those bubbles that go out, syempre, when we wash our hands, we find that satisfaction na, okay, soap bubbles are out. It means that kind of effective. It may be effective what we're doing. But can you give us a more educated answer to this question, David?
Yeah, that's a very good question. A lot of people tend to assume that the more soap bubbles you see, the more cleaning power you're getting, whether it's laundry detergent, a dish detergent, or a hand soap or body wash. Now, the reality is that beyond a certain amount of soap bubbles, it's not that important for cleaning. What the soap bubbles tell us is how well are we covering our hands or any surface that we want to clean with the soap, and how well are we rubbing, because the more we rub, the more lather we get, and that is a signal for the user that we are doing the right amount of rubbing and covering of the surfaces. But in terms of cleaning and removing the germs itself, we don't actually need that much soap bubbles. The soap bubbles that are formed are driven by what we call a foaming agent, but the cleaning power is delivered by what we call a surfactant or a detergent, which adds at a very tiny molecular level, which we can't see. I hope that helped a little bit, but the science is interesting when it comes to soap.
Right, David, thank you so much for answering that. Pardon me, I was really listening intently, because there may be a bit of technical terms that are there. And pardon me, David, for also speaking in Filipino to talk to our audience. So guys, sabi ni David na hindi talaga indicator yung soap bubbles para effective yung hand washing. So as David mentioned also, it's just to reiterate, David. So I know you mentioned this just moments ago, but what's the real maybe sign, whether whatever soap you're using, that you know that you're effectively washing your hands and taking away the germs as you go through the course of hand washing?
Yeah, very good. And that's an important question, because germs are essentially invisible, right? Unless we've got a little microscope, that it's hard to see whether or not we're removing all of the germs, obviously. The sign, especially if you just come out from maybe walking the garden or playing in the playground, is if your hands are covered with dirt, that you have effectively removed them, right? And maybe one little trick for mommies and daddies are trying to teach their kids a good hand washing habit is to take baby powder and cover the kids' hands with the baby powder, right? And just make sure that the kid, the child, is washing all surfaces of their hands. That way, in their daily habits, when they need to wash their hands, they know exactly the importance of rubbing all surfaces of your hands. Otherwise, it's really hard to tell, right? So try baby powder. That would be a good way. Or if you can, get a little bit of this glow germ, you have to order it, but it's another good way of telling if you're really cleaning your hands well. But other than that, the habits of the 7 steps are what we have to rely on to make sure that we're doing hand washing the right way.
That's a very good idea. And that's the first time I've heard of that idea. And for sure, David, I'm going to teach that to my daughter when she's already of age. Put baby
Great.
powder, rub it all out, and just practice. A good practice for good washing. Before we go on to the next question, just saying hello and good morning from the students and teachers watching from Dita Elementary School, Santa Rosa, Laguna, Capitolio High School, Wendy, Raven, Calix. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us here today. Miss Jing Apostol, thank you for watching from Santa Rosa in Laguna. Our second question, David, what is the best way to dry our hands? That's also a good question. What is the way to dry our hands after washing? Is there a recommended method?
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of ways, aren't there? I mean, you can wash your hands and just flick it around, or you can wash your hands and just walk away and hope it just gradually air dries over time. Or you can use a paper towel or a clean cotton towel. Well, the science shows that really the best way is to wash and to dry your hands with a clean paper towel or a cotton towel. Now, why is that? It's because if we flick off the water, and we don't do it over the sink, we do it as we're walking around, there might still be germs in that water, and that those germs end up getting transferred all around. For the same reason, some of the air dryers that we see in public restrooms, where you put your hand in and then a very loud dryer turns on, that will be spreading those germs, what we call aerosolizing the germs in the air. So it's not the best idea. That's why you may have noticed that air dryers have fallen out of favor a little bit. People have stopped really installing them. Now, paper towels are a good way because not only do they dry your hands, but as you rub your hands with a paper towel, remember I mentioned the importance of rubbing to remove germs. It's helping to remove those germs, any remaining germs on the hands as well. So paper towel or a good cotton towel.
Just gonna throw in a small pop fiction reference. Turns out Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory was right. I don't know if you watched
really?
that. Yeah, the character Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory.
Yes. Right?
He refuses to dry his hands using an air dry because all of the germs that go around the machine. Turns
That's
out
right.
he was right. Wow. All right. So guys, ako nanonood ng Big Bang Theory. Si Sheldon Cooper, if napanood niyo yun yung kanyang argument when it comes to drying hands. Lastly, David, I enjoyed this conversation with you and I learned a lot. David, what is your advice? What advice can you give young students about pursuing their interest in science and research?
Oh, I would say just always be curious and don't be afraid to ask questions, even if no one else is asking those questions. Don't stop asking questions.
All right. There you have it, Mr. David Khoo. Let's give him a virtual round of applause to a P&G's Principal Scientist and Germ Expert, Mr. David Khoo. David, thank you so much. Stay safe out there.
It's been a pleasure.
Always wash up, wash up. Thank you, David.
Wash up. Take care, everyone. Be safe.